And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We're nearly at 300,000, so thank you for that. Hit subscribe, watch, keep the comments coming, and share with a friend, because the insanity, it's just not stopping. Think about it. This morning, just literally moments ago, new reporting came out from The Atlantic exposing more text from the group chat. We're talking about the infamous Signal Gate. Now, all day yesterday, Trump and his pundits were trying to distract the American people and convince each and every one of us, that they were not war plans that were exchanged. Here's the problem. You can't argue with facts. You can't argue with documentary evidence. So let's look at what The Atlantic just posted moments ago. In it, they turn around and they say, this is from Pete Hegseth, team update. Time now, 11:44. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM that we are a go for mission launch, right? Then at 12:15, F-18s launch, first strike package. I don't know, sounds to me like war plans. F-18s? Then at 13:45, remember this is military time, trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts. I mean, these are detailed analyses going on here. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch, MQ-9s. I mean, then at 14:10, more F-18s launch, second strike package. 14:15, 5 minutes later. I mean, this guy's detailing the entire attack. Strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop, pending earlier trigger-based targets. 15:36 F-18, second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. They go on more. Then you have J.D. Vance. I will say a prayer for victory. Wow. Thanks for that, J.D. All right. Then you have Mike Walls. VP, building collapsed, had multiple positive ID. Pete, Carilla, the IC, amazing job. J.D. Vance, what? Right? Typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy. We had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and it's now collapsed. J.D. Vance, excellent. I mean, seriously? Is there anybody that's watching this right now that will turn around and tell me that that doesn't sound to you like operational war plans? Now, they then had reached out to Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt for a comment before publishing the article. This is what she ended up writing. Our request for comment and feedback to national security officials shortly after noon, and followed up in the evening after most failed to answer. Late yesterday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt emailed a response. Here's what she said. As we have repeatedly stated, there was no classified information transmitted in the group chat. However, as the CIA director and national security advisor have both expressed today, that does not mean we encourage the release of the conversation. This was intended to be an internal and private deliberation amongst high-level senior staff, and sensitive information was discussed. So for those reasons, yes, we object to the release. Now, the Leavitt statement did not address which elements of the text the White House considered sensitive, or how, more than a week after the initial airstrikes, their publication could have bearing on national security. Now, let me go on to say the following. This is typical Caroline Leavitt. Don't release the information. It's not classified, but it could parts of it be sensitive, and nothing was wrong. So now that we have the receipts to prove that they were talking about sensitive war operational plans, I want to show you what the Republicans said yesterday to try to deflect a very important situation. Here's what Secretary Hegseth had to say. His tactic, of course, seems to be that he hopes that Americans are just dumb and that they won't notice that he's just not even answering the question at hand. Play the clip.
Mr. Secretary, the messages the White House called authentic did at the very least include sensitive details about targets and timing. Did you declassify that information before you put it in the chat? And are you using Signal to discuss operations as sensitive as the strikes against the Houthis on a government or a personal phone?
First, all I would say is the strikes against the Houthis that night were devastatingly effective. And I'm incredibly proud of the courage and skill of the troops. And they are ongoing and continue to be devastatingly effective. The last place I would want to be right now is a Houthi in Yemen who wants to disrupt freedom of navigation. So the skill and courage of our troops is on full display. It's a complete opposite approach from the fecklessness of the Biden administration. President Trump said peace through strength will be brought back. Freedom of navigation will return, and that's exactly what we're doing. As I also stated yesterday, nobody's texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
So those same troops that you are proud of, do you regret putting information like the ones you did in the Signal chat that could endanger those same American service members?
Nobody's texting war plans. I know exactly what I'm doing, exactly what we're directing. And I'm really proud of what we accomplished, the successful missions that night and going forward.
Interesting. Meanwhile, Laura Ingraham asks Mike Walls how Jeff Goldberg's number ended up in that group chat. Play the clip.
President, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone, and we're going to figure out how this happened.
So you don't know what staffer is responsible for this right now?
Well, look, a staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
But how did the number?
I mean,
I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
So
wait, whether Jeffrey Goldberg did it, whether Jeffrey Goldberg somehow managed to put his information into your private phone. Hey, schmuck, maybe that's why you don't use your phone. All right, an unauthorized phone on an unauthorized app for things like this. Don't blame Jeffrey Goldberg. It's blaming the victim. You're the one who put him onto the group chat if you are the one who created the chat. And I believe that you probably screwed up thinking JD and then maybe JG, so you have things listed by, by letters instead of by names. I don't know how you run your Signal. What I do know, it's not supposed to be used, especially when you're discussing things like this. There are secured methods. This is not one of them. Now, they then followed up on his confusing answer. Play that clip.
So your staffer did not put his contact information.
No,
but how did it end up in your phone?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, but that's a pretty big problem.
That's what we've got the best technical minds, right?
That's disturbing.
And that's where, I mean, I'm sure everybody out there has had a contact where it was said one person and then a different phone number.
But you've never talked to him before, so how's the number on your phone? I mean, I'm not an expert in any of this, but it's just curious. How's the number on your phone?
Well, if you have somebody else's contact and then somehow it gets
someone
sucked
sent
in,
you that
it gets
contact.
sucked in.
Was there someone else supposed to be on the chat that wasn't on the chat that you thought was?
So the person that I thought was on there was never on there. It was this
Who
guy.
was that? What person?
Well, I'm not. Look, okay. Laura, I take responsibility. I built the group.
Okay.
So
imagine that Laura Ingraham is actually the one that's pushing this, and it's not pedantic. The problem that we have going on here is that they just don't know how to lie in order to get themselves out of this debacle. Again, in comes Caroline Leavitt. What does she do? Goes right on to Trump messaging, blaming Democrats for making Americans worry for no reason. No, seriously. She wants to blame the Democrats for making Americans worry for no reason about this issue. Play the clip.
And there is nothing better. The Democrats, there's nothing that they're better at than spinning a sensationalist story out of a basic set of facts. And the president and our team have been incredibly transparent about what happened. No classified information was shared in this group chat. But the Democrats would have you believe we have a national security crisis on our hands when we absolutely do not. It's the same playbook they ran with the Russia hoax, which was a perfect phone call between the President Trump and President Zelensky at the time, which they spiraled into a hoax, and then an impeachment, which President Trump was later acquitted of, and that story was later debunked. They did this with the classified documents hoax when President Trump had the legal authority to retain those documents under the Presidential Records Act, and they had you believe that there was top secret information and it was a national security crisis. They are good at fear-mongering the American public, but not anymore. I think the Americans see the truth. They see past the sensationalist headlines from Jeffrey Goldberg in The Atlantic, which is a dying magazine, and they should trust this president and his national security team, who, again, are getting things done, moving at Trump speed to make this world a safer place.
I think even Jesse Waters, if we could put a bubble like over his head, is saying, holy shit. I mean, this young lady is fucking delusional. She also tries to blame Jeffrey Goldberg. She's victim blaming now Jeffrey Goldberg for being placed onto this chat. Play the clip.
So it's kind of strange that of all people, Jeffrey Goldberg entered this chat. Could have been an accident on your team's side, but it also could have been something a little more mischievous on Goldberg's side, as you heard Walt say. What do you think about this character?
It certainly could have been more mischievous, as Mike Waltz alluded to in the previous hour. We are working very hard to find out how this number was inadvertently added to the group chat. It remains a mystery, but we hope.
It's not a mystery. I have signal. Anybody who doesn't understand this, just download the goddamn app. The only way to have somebody in your phone, you have to add them as a contact. I don't know. Oh, let's see how long it takes the tech geniuses that you have inside there, like big balls, to figure that one out. Meanwhile, the last clip that I want to show you, it makes it seem as if Levitt is just living in an alternate reality, while she thanks Trump for literally putting together such a competent team. Play the clip.
Pete Hegseth, and the American people should be grateful to these individuals, and especially to President Trump, for putting together such a competent and highly qualified team who are killing terrorists that the Biden administration allowed to run wild in the Middle East. And that is the...
I mean, is there anything that I could say that you're actually not thinking right now at this very moment? One of the things we deserve, one of the things we must legitimately demand. It goes beyond deserve. At this point, with this administration, we must demand truth. And we must demand accountability. Yes, let us all acknowledge that these war plans were not released, thanks to Jeffrey Goldberg, that it did not end up in the hands of a different journalist, maybe one who was not American, and that the strike turns out to be effective and what they desired. That's not the issue. The issue is you have a group of individuals that refuse to acknowledge that these communications do not belong to them. They belong to the American people. Remember the whole National Archives. They need to be preserved. Signal does not do that. It is not the platform that they should be using. And as soon as they come out and acknowledge that, the better off and the safer we will all be. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.